If you want to boost your credit score to 800 from scratch, check out this video. When I researched for this topic, I found out there's some good information on the internet. One of the basic assumptions that they all do is that you have some sort of credit history or length of credit history. This is where my scenario is slightly different. When I came to the US, I was 23 years old. I didn't have any credit history or any sort of payment history. So I had to start from absolute scratch. To make matters worse, I didn't have anybody who could co-sign a loan for me or get me a credit card. So I thought I'll make a video about going from a sub 600 score to an 800 score in under 3 years. So the first thing that I decided to do is to get a checking account because I was sure I was not going to get a credit card. So I went to one of the big banks and I talked to the bank manager. In hindsight, I should have probably gone to a credit union, which would have been a better option. So in any case, the bank manager helped me open a checking account, and I asked her if I could get a credit card as well. She said no, because I didn't have any sort of credit history. Even if I applied for a credit card, I would just get rejected. So my best option would be to just get a checking account and build some sort of history for about 6 months. This is also the period I actually needed a credit card because I needed to rent cars and buy groceries and things like that. So I ended up using my debit card and my checking account for all those things. And in some cases, I even wrote checks. So in 6 months, I went back to the bank and I tried to apply for a credit card. Their automated system rejected me right off the bat. But the bank manager decided to help me out by putting in her some sort of authorization code. So I was approved for a whopping $500 credit limit. That's right, $500 credit limit. Although it wasn't a great credit limit, I decided to use it because I wanted to build a credit history and a payment history. So my credit score at this point was 540. So I knew that I needed a better credit score to get better interest rates and other benefits that come with a good credit score. So I decided to boost my credit score and I started looking into this. I discovered that I absolutely did not know about how a credit score was calculated. I thought it was a singular entity, but actually it turns out it's a sum of its parts. There are 5 ingredients to a good credit score. Payment history, which accounts for 35%. Credit balance and utilization ratios account for 30%. Length of credit history accounts for 15%. Credit mix, this is the different type of credits that you have, accounts for 10%. And new credit accounts for 10%. Credit works in a funny way. Those who truly need it and will make use of it are not granted good credit score or good credit, but those who actually do not need it and will not make use of it are blessed with good credit score and also higher credit limits. First, there are basics. The number one thing that I did is to buy a credit monitoring service from Equifax. This is important. You can also sign up for some sort of free service like Credit Karma. I personally can't vouch for it, but I think it's a pretty good service. You need a way to measure your credit score to see if you're making progress. If you don't know you're getting better or worse, you're just shooting in the dark, and that's not going to help you. All the inquiries that you do yourself don't count against you because they're considered soft inquiries. So you can check your credit report and your credit score once a month and you'll be good to go. Second thing is, I knew I couldn't do much about length of my credit history, so I decided to concentrate on payment history. The credit card that I had $500 limit. So I always paid it in full at the end of the month when the bill was generated. That way I didn't have any outstanding balance or carry forward balance. So my credit history always looked green. The next thing is utilization ratio. This is one of the gotcha moments for me because I didn't understand. I always ended up using $500 limit on my credit card. So it turns out a low credit utilization ratio is really important. I kept my utilization ratio around 15%, but most credit monitoring services recommend that you keep it at 10% or below to have a really good credit score. Because my credit limit was really low, there was not much I can do about it, so I ended up using 15% of the limit. The fourth thing that I did was to not seek any new credit. This is also important. You need to stay disciplined and not apply for any new credit. This is the way to go. I did these steps for about 6 months. I also think that 6 months is a minimum period that you need to invest to get any sort of decent score. Credit score boosts don't happen overnight. You need to put in at least 6 months, in my opinion, and the longer the better. At the end of the 6 months, my credit score was 630. This gave me the confidence that I needed that I could boost my credit score and keep working at it. So after the 6 month stabilization period where I didn't seek any new credit, I decided to call my local credit union, and they were very generous to give me a credit card with $4,000 limit. This high credit limit helped me keep my utilization ratio below 10%. This is one of the major boosting factors for your score. In the next 3 months, my score went from 630 to 680. The next thing that I did was to add different types of credit. I had saved up money to buy a used car. Instead of just paying cash, I decided to get a car loan and make payments on it. Although the interest rate on the car loan was pretty high, I think it was worth it in my case because it gave me that credit mix boost that I needed to take my score into 700 territory. I continued to pay my car loan and my credit card off every month in full, and I did this for another 3 months. At the end of the first year, my score had risen to 730. This is also the time the original inquiry that I had from my first credit card was removed from my report. The credit inquiries stay in your report for 2 years, but only affect your score for the first year. This is a nice thing to know. As I said, at the end of the first year, my credit score was 730, which by most measures is a decent score. Although I was happy with it, I decided to boost my score further by getting a high limit credit card. A high limit credit card is generally defined as having a credit limit of over $10,000. The credit card that I got was Chase Sapphire Preferred, which had an annual fee, but I got a credit limit of $12,000. So this again helped me further reduce my credit utilization ratio. Now I was keeping my credit utilization ratios around 6-7%, which was, I think, really good from a credit score boost perspective. In the next 4 months after getting the high limit credit card, my score boosted to 780. This is also the time where you hit a plateau. My score stayed at 780 for nearly a year, and I didn't bother boosting it any further. So after 2 years of getting my first credit card, my wife and I decided to buy our home, so we got a home mortgage. I think this gave me the final boost that I needed to break into the 800 territory. After 2 months of signing our mortgage, I checked my score on Equifax and my score was 802. This was an interesting journey for me to go from such a low score to an 800 score. I was super excited. I've built a good credit history and payment history since hitting that 800 mark. Now my score hovers around 825. I've also gotten rid of some of the old credit cards that had a really low credit limit. That really hasn't affected my score in any sort of noticeable way. I think these steps will definitely help you in boosting your credit score. So if you are trying to do that, I say stay disciplined and follow the path. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button and share your thoughts in the comment section below. I plan to post videos relating to personal finance, financial independence, and early retirement. If that's something that interests you, please follow me on this channel. Thank you.